Let's play a game. All right. On the count of 3, name your favorite dinosaur. Don't even think about it. Just name it. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Velociraptor.
What? Did we just become best friends?
Yup.
You want to go do karate in the garage?
Yup.
This is the Karate in the Garage podcast with Mason Merrill and Weston Toth. Welcome back to another edition of the Karate in the Garage podcast. I'm your host, Mason Merrill, and with me again today is my co-host, Weston Toth. How's it going, man?
How are you doing, you beautiful flesh of a man?
I'm doing pretty good. I am hanging in there. I'm trying not to get sick this week, so if I have to step away from the mic or cough, I will definitely edit that out.
Yeah, man, you where'd you get it from?
Well, my kiddo's been sick, and then it's been like up and down weather where we're at right now, so I'm trying to ward it off. It's like close to like 60 today, but it's been like, in the 20s earlier in the week, so.
Very nice. Yeah, dude, like it is definitely the season of people getting sick, so understand, man. Take care of yourself. I'm drinking some hot, well, it's not hot anymore, but I was drinking some ketone raspberry hot tea myself to make sure I got all the good things in my life.
Nice. I have a little Nobility cold black mint tea here that I'm actually drinking, so it's a tea day apparently on the podcast.
But this is exactly why you're sick, is because it's not hot tea.
Yeah, that's true. I do drink hot tea like every night though, just like chilling out. So
I mean, your wife is, Asian,
She's
so
I guess Asian people drink a lot of tea. I don't know.
I mean,
yeah,
and English people and like everyone else except Americans, but whatever.
Yeah, exactly. No, she makes like really good tea though. There's like the citron or like, I'll have the basics like chamomile and stuff a lot, but like there's like this citron tea. It's really good. It's like made from orange peel.
Don't be like just making up these fancy words for citrus, okay?
Yeah, that's what they called it anyway. That's what they told me it was called.
Oh, cool.
Anyway, so the game, the gauntlet chose for us was last week, if you listen to the podcast, was Earth Defense Force for Super Nintendo.
Excuse me, it's Super Earth Defense Force because
I'm
it was
sorry.
for Super NES.
Yeah, it's funny because a lot of people call it Super Earth Defense Force, but on the box art it just says Earth Defense Force. So that's what I'm sticking to.
Man, you were totally right. I'm looking at it right now. So man, someone dropped the marketing right there.
Yeah, even in the Wikipedia it says it was later released for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System as Super Earth Defense Force. So I don't know. I don't know what's right and what's wrong here, but we'll just go with either will work.
And of course, the acronym is ED.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. Like you turn on the game and it's like just flashes ED. I'm like, what's coming next? Is this like an ad for a Viagra commercial or something?
And it's funny because last letter is F.
Yeah. Which if I had ED, the last thing I would probably think is, F.
Oh, man.
Man.
We're going down a dark place. Okay, let's get back on track.
All right. Well, bringing it back, Earth Defense Force was a game released for the Super Nintendo system originally in North America in January of 1992. But in Japan, October 25th, 1991.
Yeah, and it was actually there was a version of an arcade game. Oh, my goodness, I'm sorry. Did not know my phone was on. There's a version in 91 that came out of this game, but it wasn't exactly the same game as an arcade game, but which makes sense. It felt like an arcade game, realistically.
Yeah, no, it did 100%. I mean, the kind of open-ended. I feel like as I was playing the game, we'll get into it, but there was so little lives in the game. You could die really easily. So I was like, I'm glad I'm not putting quarters into a machine right now because I'd be a very poor man.
Dude, that's so funny that you say that because I thought the exact same thing. I was like, they must have made, because it was, especially if it's for an arcade game being hard, like that was good because it's just 8 quarters, but the hardcore people who want to go to the arcade to get better or get a higher score, this was definitely a good game for an arcade, I would imagine, but it would have eaten some quarters.
Yep. And okay, so yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. So there was a plot of this game which was not explained very well, but the plot of this game, it takes place in the equivocal future date of 20XX. So not sure what that means, but the Earth is unexpectedly attacked by the mysterious Azima Empire, a spacebound monarchy currently dedicated to eradicating all life on the planet from its flagship orbital satellite Buster.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty intense.
It's I mean, for EDF, it's nothing, but for normal people, it's something. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I love how there was a plot because it just, I mean, it didn't explain any of that in the
I
opening
feel like
scenes.
back in the day, we didn't have a physical copy of this game, but I feel like back in the day that these kind of things might have been explained in the booklet that is not really non-existent in video games these days, but they had like a legit book that came with the game.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? That actually is a great point. Maybe we should like buy an old game or two, like original boxed, and see if that's really the case. Because I kind of remember that too. It coming with, for instance, like the original Super Mario World had a booklet with it. I know for sure that had like the bad guys and like a little backstory on them, and then like what different items did in the game. If you remember that.
Yep, exactly. And they would show like the characters and things like that. So
Yeah.
I think they eliminated that like PlayStation 2 around that era.
They eliminated it?
Well, it just eliminated having the book that came with the game. You know?
No, they had it in PlayStation 2.
No, I said like post
Oh.
for PlayStation 2. Like
Yes.
when they switched over to PlayStation 3 type stuff.
Yeah, you're probably right there because I remember, even getting like Final Fantasy X, and there'd be like a nice little booklet in there that helps you out a little bit, and
that was great. Like
Yeah.
I feel bad for kids like who get games at the store with their parents. I mean, probably most everybody or a lot of people are downloading these days, but like that was the best part of on the way home from the store. You open up the game and read the booklet.
Yeah, that's such a weird thing that we haven't talked about that until now, because that was a huge part. You on your ride home, you're just like reading this, you're trying to get the controls right, you're reading about the story, you're getting hyped up, and then finally when you get home, you just know exactly what to do. You don't have to like I guess even like the tutorial was a little bit more so in the book, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. I 100% agree with that. So anyway, this game, the genre of the game, back to Earth Defense Force, it was a scrolling shooter. So it was sort of like, I don't know how you felt about it, but it was like felt like a really advanced version of Galaga to me.
Yes, yeah, very much so. When I played this, I was thinking of like Meteor, or like what's that game for like the PC? It was kind of like where like enemies came from. Basically you could shoot enemies from either direction, whereas like Galaga, they would like come, they would only come from one side, and then they might loop back around, but you were only shooting one. Whereas this one, you could move forward in the screen, up and down, and then the enemies would go behind you, so you'd have to like kind of rotate all around the screen instead of just like side to side.
Yeah, so and that made it quite difficult in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't even know if it wasn't like the mechanics. I've played similar games to this, even newer, or like on mobile and stuff like that. I think it was just it started out at like, instead of like normal games, these types of games like a Galaga or something like this will start out with some basic mechanics where you'll get one type of enemy and you'll clear the basically kind of go through that. They'll be shooting. You'll kind of figure out what they do, and then it'll go, it'll kind of progress. But this one literally went from 0 to 60 within like 5 or 4 waves of enemies. And they were all different too. So it's not like you could kind of learn one movement or how they fired or whatever. It was sporadic and difficult.
Yeah. Yep. It was, like you said, it was all over the place, and, is kind of how I saw it. There was a little bit of a leveling system. to this game though at some point once you got into it.
Yeah, so basically it was you just gain experience from enemies defeated, and then you got more like newer, more powerful versions of the weapons. So in the arcade version, you that was probably the biggest takeaway from the arcade to this one. There wasn't different weapons; you just had one, like a Galaga. With this one, you could choose between, I think it was 8, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Vulcan, laser, atomic, homing, explode, S laser, grenade, and photon.
Right, exactly. So there's all those you could choose from. They all had different like firing speeds, powers of the actual like when you hit the enemies, and rapid fire, something like that.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
So throughout the game though, like the weapons, there were certain ones that kind of recommended. They didn't say it in the game, but it was like this weapon will help with this level because of these enemies, kind of thing. So that was kind of a cool little thing you could think about. And this weapon will help me get all these guys. Like for instance, in the first stage, there's just a lot of guys coming at you at once. So if you do a homing missile, it would home in on those and beat them pretty easily.
Yeah. So that's. I liked how there was different different weapons. I thought that was like a good addition to the game, obviously. But there was only 2 combinations that I found that I could actually get super far and like start leveling up and into the level in general.
Yeah.
Which was the one that worked best for me was the S laser and the homing.
Yep.
So the S laser was that's where I actually got pretty stinking far like with the S laser. And then I don't know if you did this too as well, but if you pressed my controller, if you press the A button, like your 2 little ships would like kind of fly around you, and they could damage enemies and act like they would fire more as well.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
So I'd like it. Yeah, you expand, and then with the S laser, they would be firing as well, and your main ship would be firing. It was pretty all right.
Yeah, it wasn't so bad. Well. So in the levels, there was always a mid boss, and then there was an end boss, and some of them were pretty easy. Other ones weren't as easy. Usually the mid boss, as in with every game you play, is not as hard as the last boss.
Yeah, for sure. It ramped up too fast for me.
Yeah, it was a hard play. I have to say, but let's just go down the line here. What was your feeling about the graphics? How'd you think of the visual appeal of the game?
I thought it was nice. I actually I liked the graphics. I think it made me feel like I was flying a plane in the sky with the clouds and the animations. I thought there's like different lasers for weapons. It felt good. I think the graphics were fine for the game. And in fact, I think it probably was above fine a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with that. It was cool because the levels themselves, it was kind of just like a backdrop. There's nothing a whole lot going on there, but the ship, it had a good amount of detail to it, and the enemies, while there were a lot of the same enemies, there were a lot of different ones, as like different aliens that you blew up as well.
Yeah, there's different models of characters depending on. I think I saw at least 8 or 10.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I obviously, if I would have played it more and more, maybe I could have got farther. But I just died, I think, about 20 times, and then I stopped.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that was the same with me.
Yeah, graphics I think were definitely like a B+ for me.
Excuse me. Yeah, no, I would say that's pretty good. That's a pretty good. Probably if we're doing a scale of 10, I give it about a 7 or so.
Yeah, it was. I think it was definitely average to above average, especially for this being 92 and not like late 90s.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was good.
Yep. As far as the sound goes, the sound was just kind of what you'd expect in one of these games. Nothing really to write home about, but it wasn't like annoying to me.
Yeah. So I went through all the music because you could configure all the different ones you listen to, and I thought they were again just a little bit above average. Like it wasn't so repetitive and it wasn't annoying. Like all the tunes, whoever wrote them, and it wasn't as like polyphonic. Because sometimes when in these old retro games, it was so like I don't know how to like describe it. I guess polyphonic, or like the bit sounds were so like high pitched, or that it was just sound. I mean, it just wasn't good. But this actually had like a little groove to it. I thought it was above average as well.
Yeah, not bad.
Just a little bit.
Like you said, you could go through and like kind of look at all the songs that were in the game, and there was quite a bit. It wasn't just the same thing over and over again. So yeah, I definitely agree with you with being above average on that. As far as the gameplay goes, whether you like this genre or not, this is not my favorite genre of game personally, but whether you like it or not, the gameplay I felt was very smooth. Like there was no kind of glitches to it. It all ran really well, in my opinion.
Completely agree. I think this was definitely a great step in the right direction from other side-scrolling shooters or any sort of game like this. I think it was very responsive. There was a lot going on the screen, and it didn't slow down or glitch out on me as well. Yeah, I think it was good.
Yep. And then the presentation overall, there's really no build-up except for you definitely knew the game you were playing just by the opening credits, EDF, or Defense Force. So, there's no build-up to the story or whatnot. Like I said, that may have been in the manual, the original manual for it. So, that kind of stuff. But as far as the presentation of the game, I felt that the menu was easy to navigate. You knew exactly what was going on once you got into the game, with the picking the weapons and things like that.
Right. Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
The only thing I thought, like, in my opinion, that it could have done a little better in presentation was just give the novice players a little more of a chance going into this game, because for me, I was very novice at this game, and it just got overly frustrating of keep on dying, and like it was like you're shot once, here's your shield, you're shot twice, you're dead, so maybe a little bit more of like a life type system.
Yeah. So I completely agree with pretty much everything you said. I thought the overall presentation was nice. It could have had more, or definitely because of like the story, that could have been the booklet as well. But yeah, I thought it was better than some other games we've played. And like when basically like before you go into battle, you're kind of like in the loading dock and you're choosing your weapon. I liked that. They all look different. Maybe like a little bit more ship variety would have been kind of cool. Just like even one or two more ships.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, just like not even a lot. Maybe if you had like 3 to pick from, because you had 8 weapons to pick from. So if we could just had like one different ship or maybe even like a ship that was faster or slower but could hit harder, something like that. I think that'd have been cool. Just a little bit more variety. But and then I completely agree. I think if it could have just ramped up in difficulty a little bit more
later in the game.
Yeah, just like have kind of a linear difficulty setting instead of going from, again, like 0 to 100. If it could go from like 1, 2, 3, just go up to 10 or go up to 100, do 10% increments of, and then that way, like by the time you got up to, the really hard part, you're kind of broken into the game, and you feel like a lot more satisfied when you go into the super, super hard part. So, yeah, I think that was my biggest qualm, is it just went too hard too fast, and maybe like a couple more ships with different abilities, but wasn't bad.
Yeah. Yep. 100%. And then, so going to our last category, which is we usually do lasting appeal. I'm good on this game. I don't really think I'll ever play it or feel the need to like, hey, son, you should play this game, when you're a little bit older. But yeah, I mean, I just think I'm done with it,
Yeah, I think I'm probably done with it too, but I don't think it. I wouldn't say it doesn't have lasting appeal, because this is a type of game that you could pick back up, because there's no starting or stopping point, because this is basically an arcade game rebundled, right?
Yeah.
So if you were like, oh man, I want to see if I can get a higher points than you, or you maybe just try out a different weapon setup that you could get farther with, it has some appeal to go back to it. I don't think I'm going to, just because there's more to play in the world, but I don't think it has zero lasting appeal. I just don't think it's like, oh my goodness, I can't wait to play this game again.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're a big fan of this genre, yeah, great. In my opinion, I'm not really, so I'm not the right person to judge that kind of thing. But as far as for me, like, there's no like really build up around this game that would make me be like, yeah, I need to play this or download it on my phone or whatever. Like it was apparently at one time on the App Store, but no longer anymore. So.
Yeah. So I completely understand like where you would come from that. Like I said, I probably am not going to play it again as well, but I do think it has some long-term appeal. If you like this type of game, I think going back to it, or even if we were in the same state together and we picked it up and one of us got one score to try to beat the other one, I think that would, like I said, in an arcade environment, or if you had a buddy over and you guys were both playing it, I think it does have some appeal to be like, oh man, you just got a little bit farther than me. Like I'm going to beat you this time. So
that's where the fun kind of is with it.
Yeah, for sure. I think it just like, if you're into, like that style of like competitiveness, I think it does have some appeal. Not for me right now, but it has a little bit.
Yeah. Well, cool. I think we covered just like what the game is pretty good there. We just got the last thing is an overall ranking of the game out of 10. I'm going to say, what do you think we should rank this as? Like what should be our item that we rank it with?
Oh, dude, how many spaceships out of 10?
Okay. How many spaceships out of 10? I'm going to give it a 6 spaceships out of 10.
Man, I think we're, we normally are pretty close, but I'm going to give it 6 too.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, I think I think we hit this one nail on the head. Like it definitely did some good things.
It's not a bad game by any means.
It's not a bad game. No, not at all.
Yeah. So
it just needed some improvements.
Yeah. And which, I mean, fast forwarding in time, 19 years, they have Earth Defense Force 5. And I wouldn't buy this game for full price, but it looks actually pretty sweet. It looks pretty intense. Yeah, it's just like you're like the humans and you're just fighting the aliens. Like there's ground combat, there's air combat, there's all kinds of just looking at this thing. It looks pretty crazy. It's out for PlayStation and PC.
Wow, it must be good. It got 8.3 out of 10, and they rated Kingdom Hearts 8 out of 10. So, geez.
Yeah, for sure. So. Yeah, anyway, I might, if I see it on sale, I might pick up Earth Defense Force 5 and see what that's all about.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, so good on ya. Good on ya, Earth Defense Force. Moving on, that was a cool game. I think we lucked out with our gauntlet, with the gauntlet picked for us this week.
Dude, the gauntlet giveth and the gauntlet taketh.
I'm scared of the gauntlet. That's why we're not going to use it every week, but
we'll do it every couple weeks, every other week, something like that. But
yeah, that sounds
we can't go down the gauntlet hole again.
Yeah. Oh man, imagine if we had tried to like cram Final Fantasy 2, and I think that was your pick on the gauntlet last week.
I mean, we would just we would have to do an ongoing review where. One, we just kind of talk about what we have played so far, and then go for another couple weeks. So it would have to be like one of the long plays that we do.
Yeah, which once we're through something like that, I think if we did, like we review a certain game, if we did get a longer form one, we could just review like a quick game every week and then give an update on where you're at, where I'm at. We're not obviously not going to have any spoilers for the games, but maybe we can kind of do a longer form game like that and then have like a wrap up episode once we both beat it,
Yeah, sounds good.
I think that'd be cool. Once we get through like Kingdom Hearts and playing, our longer games that are taking most of our time right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, so as far as this week, I didn't see a whole lot of like news or anything I wanted to talk about. The Dragon Ball trailer for the new Project Z that we talked about a little bit last week. It's just kind of, it just tells the story of Dragon Ball basically, but there's nothing out on the battle system or anything like that, so it's just, this is going to be an action RPG, and that's all we know about it. That tells the story of Z,
Right.
So I'm interested to see more on that, but as far as any update on that, I don't really have any.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't too much like in gaming that I really wanted to talk about, or just comics or movies or anything else like that. So I think we'll just gonna make this one a little. Yeah, it's kind of a quiet week. Just grinding Kingdom Hearts.
One thing to note that we haven't talked about it, and it happened about a month ago, but the rights for Fantastic Four finally went back over to Marvel from Fox. So they announced like a slew of Fantastic Four like for games and mobile like being added to their mobile games and things like that. So that's kind of neat that is back there, and they have officially launched a new comic book series for Fantastic Four as well.
Nice. That'll be a cool one to see how the MCU does Fantastic Four.
If they bring him in or whatnot, Yeah. Anyway, so since there's no really other news going on this week, I guess like what's left to do is just pick our next game.
Yeah. So I'm thinking we'd go super old school with a kind of a Pac-Man-ish game.
Yeah.
Pac-Man with some twists. It's called Trog for NES. So this is a game that I kind of grew up on. I have not played it in, well over 10 years or more. But I think it'll be a fun one for us to play together and kind of revisit a game that is pretty ancient. But
yeah, and this game was published by Midway. So they've done a lot of they did Mortal Kombat, they did NBA Jam, NFL Blitz, Pac-Man, things like that, Rampage. They're still around, going strong. So this is where it all began for them.
Exactly. So it's gonna be a good one. I think that we're gonna really enjoy it. And if we don't, then we'll see a super fun game fall flat on its face.
Yeah, and this is one we're gonna try to play together because it's a two-player one. So it'll be cool. I posted up last week if you looked at our Instagram with Donkey Kong, I posted up obviously the box art as I do every time, but I posted little videos of me taking videos of me playing Donkey Kong. So I will do that. I'm gonna try to do that in the future with all the games, and this one for sure, especially when we're playing it together.
Nice, very nice. Love it.
Cool, man. Well, Trog it is for NES next week. I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, I am too. I think you're going to really like it, especially we can play together, and we will get it done and get the full review, especially after 20 years the last time I played it or something. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah. All right, man. Well, that's it for me.
Yeah, that's that for me too, man. Hope you have a great week, and thank you everyone who's listening and following us on all social media.
Yep, and don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. As always, only 5-star reviews though.
Yeah, if 1-star review, no, bad.
Also, we haven't gotten any requests, but we are definitely open to requests for games that listeners want to hear about. So send it to us.
Yeah, we'll love a request. Talk to some listeners and be able to see what they want to hear, what they want to review, or what they want to see more of, or not hear as much of.
Yep.
Great.
Yep.
Love
and
feedback.
Also, we have been playing Kingdom Hearts. Like I said, we're not going to get too much into it on our regular show, but we'll do like a bonus episode of a roundup of everything that's going to include spoilers and things like that. So we will definitely be hitting that up once we're both done with it.
Yes, yeah. Special episode incoming soon. Well,
and,
maybe not right soon because it's quite a long thing.
Yeah.
We're both in the
well, I just want to have some time to like beat it and then process it and really think about like, oh, how was that really as the final title, kind of thing. So it'll probably be down the line a little ways. Still coming at you too is the Soul of the Dragon that we talked about last week review. We're going to do that eventually as well. So.
Yep. Sounds good.
All right, man. Well, I will chat with you next week. Until next time.
All right, man. Later.
Peace. If you'd like to send us a message, you can email us at kitgpodcast@gmail.com or tweet us at kitgpodcast on Twitter.